And then we'll be back in the summer. We're going to do another series over the course of the summer on Mondays, but during the day. And so we'll get that stuff posted shortly. But Anne, I'll go ahead and turn off the ding dong sound and you can take it away.
I'll take it away as the ding dong from here.
Yes.
Nikki, do you have anything you need to share before we get started? The attendance or anything like that?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I'm going to put our attendance sheet in the chat box.
Awesome.
And as you know, I think you've all been with us before, but this is how we get record that you're here, and then that's how you'll get your OPI units for next year. And Trisha, I know that you don't need our renewal units probably, but we'd love to just have you put your name on our sheet anyway, and I have to track my numbers anyway. So, all right, I think we're set, and awesome. You can take it away.
Thank you. Plus, then you have a record that somebody was so excited about your stuff that they came from out of state.
Yeah, yeah. We've had a couple people from out of state, and we did a couple trainings a few weeks ago. We had an international presence. People from Canada came.
Whoa. Big fancy stuff, Nikki.
I know. We're global now.
Right. All right. Well, thanks again. I think I've met everybody that I see here anyway so far. So you pretty much knew what you were getting into when you signed up to come today. I don't know. I'd be curious to know everybody's experience with Keynote. Because I guess I'm just mostly going to focus on animations tonight, but I want to, front load a little bit if needed. So maybe just on a scale of say 1 to 5, where 1, I've never even opened it, to 5, like I could teach it. What's your comfort level with Keynote in general? Got a 3. You just pop it in the chat. Awesome, Dana. Good. Sweet. Gotcha. Shanna and Melissa, how about you guys? And I'm thinking like Keynote on your computer. I don't know if you ever open Keynote up like on your mobile device, your iPad or your phone. That's cool too.
Is a 1. She's direct messaged me with that.
Got it. Okay. So 3, 4, 5, 1. So just to kind of level set us, I'm just going to do just a really brief little tour. Pretty much anything you can do in any presentation software, PowerPoint, Google Slides, any of that can be done in Keynote with a couple of added bonus features that are super awesome. I've done full multi-week courses on Keynote, so it's a lot bigger than what I'm really going to show you tonight. But I do want to make sure that I at least kind of give you a foundation. So what I'm looking at here is the actual presentation that I made for presentations regarding animation. So, you kind of see that familiar look where you've got the slide view over on the side and then the presentation here. And then all your controls kind of wrap around the sides. So we're going to spend a lot of time in this section over here, which is called the inspector in MacSpeak. But just to kind of back up a second, if you're really completely unfamiliar or pretty unfamiliar with Keynote, when you open up a Keynote file, they do have several templates or themes that you can select from. You can preview them over here, and you can change the ratio over there. But additionally, you can download presentations from like Slides Carnival, Slides Mania, those kind of things that work with Google too. If you can get it as a PowerPoint template, you can use it in Keynote. So most of the time what I do is I go out and I find cuter backgrounds or themes from those outside sources because I don't love what's available in here. But I mean, it's a good start a lot of times if you're just looking to build something from scratch. So I'm just going to pick the basic something at the front here. And you'll notice that just like in Google Slides or in PowerPoint or whatever, you've got like your pre-made text boxes and your preset masters that go with different kinds of formats. Pretty much anything you want to do presentation wise, you can do in here and then some. One of my very, very most favorite things that I want to show you right off the bat, I'm just going to clear this slide. I'm going to put in a shape, and you can search for, like, I don't know, a horse or whatever, and put a horse in there. And something that's really fun that you can do here, which just for your reference, which you can't do easily in like Google Slides, if I right click on this horse, I can make it editable. And then I get all of these little points around here that I can actually manipulate. So I can make the horse have a really wonky back. I could make it be a funky unicorn. When I double click on any of these points, it changes it from a curve to a straight line. And so you can, what's I love about this is you can do all kinds of stuff with this, especially when we start talking about animation. So just that's fun, number one. Right here, it tells you to double click to toggle between curved and straight lines. So you can see how I'm adjusting the horse's rear end. I can adjust its mane and so forth like that. But also I can, in between any 2 points, I can hover there and it'll make another midpoint, which again, I can drag and click and that kind of thing. So you can adjust shapes on here to your little heart's content. And once you have a shape, I'm gonna take a screenshot of Nikki's face real quick here. Do something adorable. Hang on. Wait, I gotta open it up bigger. Hang on a second. All right, ready? Be cuter, cute, cute. They're all so cute. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is I just took a screenshot, Command-Shift-4. I'm gonna drag that picture of Nikki over here and I'm gonna plop it right on top of my horse shape. And it's much, much bigger. So let me shrink my horse a bit. This is really weird, Nikki, really weird. Okay, so I'm gonna have it fill like that. And now the fill of the horse is Nikki. So that's something that I love that you can do with Keynote that you can't really do with Google Slides, which allows for some really fun things that we're gonna do next. So just kind of clicking around in here, you've got the ability to add tables, charts, text, lots and lots of different shapes. You'll notice that there's not a text like word art. That's something that I've missed a lot in slides and here, where you can actually make like curved text, how you used to be able to do. But when you do add a text box in, you do have some cool controls over here, which we can get into more later if you want. It's not really so much what I'm going to focus on now, but you'll notice when I bring in different elements, when you come to the inspector over here, different things pop up. You're always going to have format, animate, and document available as your 3 kind of core commands up there. But then within those, you have these submenus. So under the format menu, you have style, image, and arrange. And then under animate, you have build in, action, and build out. Those will be the 3 important ones that we're going to talk about tonight. And then under document, you've got your document controls. Let me get rid of that. And your audio. So I was just tasked with making a video for our end of the year wrap up remote learning thing. And instead of doing iMovie, like I would typically be known to do, I made the entire video in Keynote, because what I wanted to be able to do was overlay the videos that teachers and kids and parents sent me with pictures so that I can make them happen more quickly. And what, instead of being like a 25-minute video, ended up being a 10-minute video, because I was able to take the pictures and have them get animated in as the video is playing. And that I could do that in iMovie, but not as cool and not as easily. So just know that there's all kinds of controls that you can do in here. Let me see here, was one of these slides. A girl sent in, a mom sent in this picture of her daughter. And the girl refused to be on video, and the mom didn't feel comfortable recording herself. So she sent the text. She said, you can use this in any way you want. And I thought it would be weird in this very visual thing to have a bunch of text in there. So I just read it, and I actually just narrated it right in here. So within the document part, you can include your own audio where you can record right here in Keynote. So when we get to the end here, I'll show you where you can save things as GIFs or GIFs, depending on what you call them, and also save things as movies. So you got lots and lots of options for Keynote downloads. A lot of times I just use it for kind of graphic design like this when I'm trying to get something to be a certain shape or a certain look. So anyway, back to the menu here, you can also include all of this different kind of media. You can scan things right in here. You can even add sketches, which is cool. And then comments, of course. So, I mean, there's way more to it than that. And I will also say, if you have come to any of my other sessions here at the PBS Media Lab, I think I've told you in a previous life, I got to do a lot of this stuff for fun. And I found making videos, animations, or particularly animated videos in Keynote to not only be just fun and rewarding because I'm super nerdy like that, but I loved the challenge of trying to figure this stuff out as I went. So it kept me motivated and feeling like a learner. But because of that, for you, by no means am I showing you the only way, or maybe even the best way to create animations. Some of you who maybe really actually into real animation will be like, that's lame. But for me, I've learned a few things in here that have helped my just my efficiency when I'm wanting to have something look animated. So if there's anything that you've learned from me through over these, I hope it's that, and through all of these classes, that you've just been provided with the opportunity to try something new, and maybe, just maybe, it'll trigger an idea for something you can use later on, like it did for me. So the first, I'm going to go ahead and close this, and it'll ask me if I want to save it, which I don't, because Nikki, I would never do that to you. Okay, got a little tickle in my throat. All right, so I'm going to close this as well so that I don't accidentally mess it up. I'm going to go ahead and just play this presentation right here because I've animated some of the elements, and I'll break it down and show you what I did. Because I had previously recorded, I downloaded this as a movie. I get these two different options up here where I can play the slideshow as is, or I can play the recorded version. Typically, you won't see these two options, but the reason you'll see it here is because I already recorded something. So I'm gonna click. I have it set so that when I click, it will animate. A little crayon draws, the letters drop in, and everything jiggles, kind of like me. So did you see how between those two slides, you've got, watch the crayon if you missed it there. He draws, he holds still while everybody else jiggles, and then he moves across the screen with the book and the backpack. That right there is probably the most, I won't say easy, but it looks really cool. It's a really powerful animation tool that Keynote has, and it's called Magic Move, and it's a slide transition. So for anybody who's taught 4th or 5th graders like I have, and you've done like Google Slides with them or something, they put transitions in between every slide, and you're like spinning and you're dizzy and you're breaking apart. Keynote has this one really cool feature that when used subtly, Magic Move, it can be really cool and just look magical. But the other thing, if you are into animating or making things look animated at all, it can save you hours. And I know this personally, trying to animate individual steps. What I have here, I'm going to hit the space bar or the next key to move this now. It's going to look to you like I've done a transition across the page or animated something, but actually, I'll show you in a second what I've actually done. Look down in the bottom right corner where the page number is. You see how it's actually a different page that I'm on? So Magic Move is a transition that works between two slides. So when you have an object on one slide that you want to be in a different place on another slide, if you apply the Magic Move transition, it will flip or travel all by itself. You can do all kinds of different slide transitions, but this particular one is between two slides like this, where objects are in different places on the slide. That on the objects could be words, numbers, pictures, shapes. They'll automatically slide into the new place just by themselves. Everything else will fade out. So I'm going to go back to here, and I don't know if you can see on the very corner of my slide there, there's that little blue triangle. That indicates that I've added a slide transition. So you've got a couple different kinds of transitions, one that occurs at the slide level, and then one occurs at the object level. So if you watch my inspector over here, when I change from slide to object, I get slightly different menus. The slide transition is Magic Move, but the object transition is Jiggle. So what happens between two slides, like this one and this one, any objects that are on the second slide that are also on the first slide will just magically move, hence Magic Move, into place from slide 1 to slide 2. So you'll see here, I've actually done 2 animations on the crayon. I've done an object level transition here, move, and I'll show you this one in just a bit, but I've moved it from here to here. That's during the slide while it's playing. But then between the slide, I wanted the crayon to go from his second place over here, because that's where he'll end, to here. So if you watch one more time, you'll see the crayon moves across, all the jiggling happens in the water, or the letters fall, and then to the next slide, he slides over. So it's that movement from slide to slide, that's the Magic Move. So to apply that is super easy. You just pick 2 slides, any 2 slides that you want, and you say magic, you turn on Magic Move. So let me go back to, I should have kept a new one. I'll do something that has pictures on it, maybe. So I'm going to add a slide in here that has, let's do this 100 one. When I duplicate this slide here, on the second slide, I'm going to move this 100 to say here, and I'm going to put fact information just up here, just to show you how it works. So from the first slide to the second slide, those 2 things have swapped places. On the first slide, so moving from this slide 2 to slide 3, I'm going to come over here to the Animate menu and add an effect. What's cool here about Keynote is I can preview any of these to see how they look. So this would be one dissolves out, and the other dissolves in, object flip, right? But Magic Move is the one I want. I can either preview it, or I can actually select it. So I like to kind of shop, transition shop, because if I'm going for a certain feel, Magic Move might not be the one I want for a presentation, but for animations, I use it all the time. So you can preview it, or if you select one by accident, you can just pick another. So what this says here is how long it takes to transition from the end of the first slide to the second slide, and what you want to do with objects that are not on the screen. So like if I had saved Nikki's horse, I'll just put in a regular horse here. The horse appears on the first slide, but does not appear on the second slide. I just want this little horse to fade out. That's what that up here means, fade unmatch objects. Otherwise, it just kind of disappears. So when I play this now, see how the horse just fades away? Ooh. Oh, I know why. Because these aren't actually my words. So hold on. 100. Oh, I heard a new expression you guys need to be on the lookout for. Chuggy. Chuggy, have you heard this? Saying 100 or fetch or whatever things like that that were like trendy a year ago is so chuggy. I read it in the news yesterday and I'm waiting to hear a kid drop it because they say stuff and I'm like,
How do you
Crazy.
spell that? Oh,
you're welcome. Little known facts. Whoopsie, whoopsie. Okay. So let's see. Let's take a look at what happened here. I had this information here and I had this information here. Why did it not magic move the text fact information from slide 1 to slide 2? Do you see it? Why do you suppose that might have been? All guesses are welcome.
did you edit the second slide and not the first?
Maybe. Maybe I might have misspelled information on one of them. So what you can do to be sure that it's exactly the same on slide 1 as it is on slide 2 is rather than retyping it, copy and paste it instead. So here, let me go to this. I'm going to get rid of that one. And that way, if I misspelled it, it'll be misspelled on both the same way. The other thing I love about, well, lots of the presentation tools do that. See how when I move over, it gives me the guide to tell me it's centered? I really like centered. It makes me real happy. So now, because I know they're exactly the same, when I move them, they'll animate correctly. So something about the two of them might have been different there. I don't know what it was. So the other cool thing is, let's say I want it to look like the horse is running. I could put in 27,000 slides with the horse moving just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. That's really painful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy him on the first slide, put him onto the second slide. Whoops, I didn't actually copy it. I'm just going to move him across to here. And if I hold shift, fun fact, if I hold shift while I move it, he'll keep, no, I'm sorry, command. No, lies. My goodness. Oh, there we go. It'll move him once I start to move him, if I hold shift, he'll keep on either a trajectory of 45 degrees, straight up and down vertically or horizontally. He'll stay on the same plane. So now when I do magic move, my horse will look like he's moving. His legs won't move, mind you, but his position will change from slide 1 whoop, to slide 2. So it looks like I took the time to animate that all the way across. You know the truth, I didn't. So that's magic move, and it can look really cool in a couple of different things. So here, let's say that I have this little lady and I want to make it appear as though she looks really surprised. I could take the time and animate that one by one by one, but I'm going to use magic move to actually make it look like she's changing her expression. So first, let me show you what this says. I like to do that. You can either do preview to show you what it will look like, or you can actually animate it or for real play it. I like to do that because I can see here where her eyes disappear. I did something wrong there, and I know what it is, but do you see how her expression changed from slide 5 to 6? And then her eyeballs fall off. So watch from slide 5 to slide 6. You see that? Magic move. That's just magic move. So what I did, I took my little lady here and with her sayings and stuff, and I changed her up just a tiny bit. So I wanted her to look surprised, and so that her hair blew back and her eyes got wide. I also tried to think, like, what does a person's face do when they get surprised? Her mouth is going to come open just a little bit. So what I did, I duplicated, I'm going to redo that, okay? I duplicated this slide, and I use the command keyboard or shortcut, command D, just to duplicate it. So right now it's exactly the same. And from the first slide to the second slide, this is where she starts. And what do I want her to end like. So the first thing that I did was I grouped her eyes together so that I can move them as one object. And then I'm going to drag the corner to make them bigger and wider. But look what happens. They go way too far apart. So when something is grouped in Keynote, you can just kind of double click on one of the objects and then bring it back into place. So it'll stay grouped, but then you're just manipulating one. So I could actually make that one smaller or bring it into place a little bit. But so from here to, whoops, here, see how her eyes got bigger. If I would have left them proportionally, her eyes would have literally popped off her face. That's not what I want. So then the other thing I want to do is I want to make her mouth just a little bit bigger. Oh, I want her to be really surprised. So I can move it like that. So slide 1, slide 2. Already she looks surprised. But to be truly surprised, let's even make her hair blow out. So if you'll notice this particular animation or illustration, sorry, is in different pieces. So watch if I move this up, it's even built with a background that's separate. I think they're even grouped. I got this from Slides. Did this one come from Slides Carnival? Slides Go. So Slides Go is what they do is really cool for us as if we want to use them for animations, because they do them in vector form. So they're separate layers, they're separate objects. So where I was showing you earlier how I made that shape editable, I could get down to the nitty gritty here and really mess around with it. But I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to shrink this side up and then try to grab this side. I don't know why it's not letting me. Let's see here. Oh, hey, let's give her a bob. So her whole pink hair here is one piece. See that? So I could actually even just get rid of her hair if I wanted to. Or, I know, we'll make her be so surprised that her hair changes color. It'll go from hot pink to yellow, gold. Okay, and right now it's being outlined and I don't want that, so I'm gonna get rid of that border. So her hair is gonna get shorter and it's gonna turn yellow. So I'm gonna shrink this side up too. So here was the original, here's the new. I just need to make sure that Magic Move is on the previous slide. I'm gonna actually get rid of the text too, because I don't really want that to animate. So, ready? Let's see. Here she is. She's so surprised that her hair changed color. I feel like that's been me before. So remember, because it said, when I selected Magic Move, I said fade unmatch objects. Everything that's on the second slide is going to move as well. So I have a lot of other things happening here. And the way you can tell what's being animated at the object level is by clicking on Animate and then go down to Build Order. I took the animation off here, but I did not on this one. I left that text on there. And the other thing that I have is start playing that text after the transition is over. I don't want that to be there at all, so I'm just going to delete the animation. So deleting it from here, this window, the build order, does not delete the text. It deletes the animation. And we'll get more into object level animation in a second. But the other thing, I have this to start the transition automatically. So after a half a second of being on this slide, when that text showed up, the transition will automatically go to the next slide. And in this case, I don't really want that. I want to be able to control when it goes. So I'm going to turn that to on click. So now when I push play, I click and there she goes. So again, on this one, I must have, on the second one here, I have it to transition automatically. And that's why her eyes come off of her head and move up to here. It's identifying 2 dots on slide 7 and attaching them to her eyes. So one last thing about Magic Move real quick. If I do something like this, let's say I decided to ungroup her eyes to make them bigger. Here they're grouped and here they're also grouped. If I ungroup those, what happens is it's gonna eliminate the magic move because it doesn't identify these as the same shape. So when I hit play here, it should make her eyes disappear and then reappear. That's because I ungrouped them. So if that happens, you just want to make sure that whatever is being not behaving the way that you expect it to is actually still the same format. So in this case, grouped. So to fix that, I could delete these eyes, come back here and grab these ones, just copy them and paste them, and then make them bigger again. Maybe let's make them really, really big. Double click on this one, don't ungroup it, and bring it back here. Okay, now let's see if it works. Oh, uh-oh, still kind of funky, you see that? Her eyes kind of disappeared for a second. So when that happens, again, just kind of experimenting with why is it not seeing these two objects as the same? It could be grouped. Maybe there's too much else going on. That's where I kind of start to break it apart. And if it's still a problem, I can show you in a minute when we get to object level, another way to do that. So do you want to just experiment with Magic Move for a minute? Okay, cool. So just add in a shape and get it to move its way across the screen. Remember, the original is on the first slide and the new placement is on the second slide. Okay, like 5 minutes, does that work? Okay, cool. I'll stop sharing for a minute. Feel free to ask if you have any questions.
Do I want to apply individual transitions to these shapes, or do I want to keep them without transitions?
Keep don't do anything with the shapes. Just apply the Magic Move transition to the first slide.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
Does that make sense, you guys?
That was where I made a mistake.
Anything that's on the first slide and the second slide will move into its new position on the second. Second, how could you use this? Think about what you teach or what you do, or even just something for fun.
So we have like goals that we want to reach with fundraising and things like that. So I'm imagining like the thermometer that you're going to fill up as goals are met.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
For me, I'm imagining the zones of regulation. So like showing a kid like in red and then doing some type of cool down and then how he can manage in that zone. Mm-hmm. Or you can show like how you changed her expression, kind of like show it that way.
Mm-hmm. Great idea. And you know, Nikki, we've done this before in EdChat or EdChat, like GIFs, animated. I don't know. Is it GIFs or GIFs, you guys?
I'm a GIF, but
I'm a GIF.
Yeah.
I used to be a GIF. Then I read that the guy who invented it says it's GIF. So
yeah, that's yep. And I just the G makes the GIF sound when there's an I after it. Like
GEGIGY makes a
G. Giraffe. Yeah.
You're right.
I guess gift. It makes that all wrong. There's always a word that breaks the rule.
That's right. So that you can say, like you were saying with the zones or the thermometer thing, you can save these as GIFs. Like, wouldn't it be cool when you're scoring a kid's digital work to react with a customized GIF that you made with your thing? So that's a really cool idea. I'm gonna go. I was trying not to do it, Nikki. I was trying not to do it. Okay. Let me show you. I took my horse and I slowed it way down. I made this transition last 6 seconds, which is maybe a little bit too long. I don't know. But I also wanted him to be a horse of a different color. So thank you, Wizard of Oz. I'm going to start on slide 1 and play, and I'm going to have him gallop in my imagination across the screen and to go off the other way. So he's changing color, and he's also, I wanted it to look like he's getting closer, but it totally doesn't. Let me just break real quick to show you how you could save this already. So if I were going to save this as a GIF, an animated image, I'm going to go to File, Export to, and right here I have the option to save it as an animated GIF file. So easy. I want it to animate from slide 1 to slide 2. I've done these before where I have like 20 slides. So you can, I'm just going to go from slide 1 to slide 2. Depending on where you're going to upload it, it may have some constraints, like when I worked for Breakout EDU, the platform would only hold 5 megabyte images. So I had to mess around with these to try to get it to be the right visually, but also the right size. So I'm just going to leave it like this by the defaults and see if it works for what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to call that horse, do a horse of a different color. And save it to my desktop. So now let's just see how it looks here. Get that guy over here. Here's my image, and I'm going to hit the space bar to preview it. Whoops. I'm not touching it. It's just going to go. And as a GIF, it should automatically replay again and again and again. That's kind of the nature of an animated GIF. So I could, not that I would, but I could use this as a comment or something to a student who, whatever, wrote in a little bit late or something like that. So it's just going to continue to play because I saved it as a repeating animated image. And that was super, super simple and quick. So that's an option there. That's just very, very simple. I'm sure you guys will come up with lots and lots of other ways that you can use this. A couple of things that I thought of were, I'll get into more the object animations first before I show you some of these. So any questions so far about Magic Move? Cool, got it. Okay, you'll start to get even better at it and get other ideas of what you can do as you experiment with it a little bit. One thing I meant to mention, which is what I had on this slide here, keep in mind, as adults, you may know this, kids don't so much, but I also see things that I'm like, oh, too much. A little animation can go a long way in a presentation. If you're using this just to animate something because you want it animated, awesome. But if it's in a presentation and you're having your kids do this, or you want to teach your kids to do this, please beg them not to go crazy with it, because when you're watching a presentation that's just full of, like that very first slide, it's way too much. I was doing it mostly to show you the point that you could do it, but it gets really overwhelming. So on that note, I want to show you object level animations. So excuse me, here I've used something called build-ins and build-outs. If you'll watch this, see how the slide is already there? I haven't magically moved anything yet, but here comes the guy and he kind of bounces in and the apple goes out. That's called a build-in. The guy is doing a build-in and the apple, which actually kind of looks more like a tomato, is building out. So watch, he comes in, apple goes out, and you see how he even kind of skidded to a stop there? It makes like dust. That's Keynote. Keynote did that whole thing. So a build-in is at the object level. So like Nikki, you were saying, do you want to animate each individual element? This would be an object level animation. So when I choose the little dude, I have selected build in, and I've chosen the option to skid. So it even shows like the little smoke. I have it taking 4 seconds to come in, and he's going to come in from the right to the left. The tomato apple is pivoting. Actually, he kind of looks like he's moving out. But if I preview it, you can see kind of is on a trajectory like a curve. I don't know if you saw that or not, but Whoops, hang on. He kind of goes, whoop. These again are really, really easy to change. I'm going to show you move in a minute, but see how this one is built out and this one was built in. So if you want something to look like it's coming in, so like my horse, for example, on this slide right here, when it's still on there, maybe I want him to come into the slide, like to here, say, and skid to a stop. So I'm going to do build in at the object level. So on the horse itself, those dogs, I'm going to have it skid left to right, but I'm going to make it take just a little bit longer. So you get the options of which direction to move him and how fast or slow it should go in. So I'm going to preview, he skids to a stop. And then after that, let's see, is when I'll have him move out. So skid to a stop, and then now he looks like he's growing. So now I've combined those two motions. I've got the magic move from slide to slide, but I have the object level motion of him skidding into place. So build in is where something is entering the slide or entering the scene. It doesn't always come in from the side. So let me get another shape to go with my horse here. Let's do a unicorn. And I'm going to go, I'm going to flip him around. Flip horizontally. I'm going to have this one come in from this side. No, this one will already be there, and that's why the horse is skidding to a stop. Okay, so I'm going to move that guy right there. And I'm going to do the build in on this a different way. I can have it just blur in because he's a unicorn. He's magic. Or maybe I'll have him sparkle in. Let's do sparkle because he's a unicorn. Yeah. Again, on these, you can almost always choose which way. But then I want the horse to stop after he sees the unicorn, right? So right down here where it says build order, this is where I get to say how things are going to come in. So the horse is going to come in after a bit after the unicorn appears, I think, but let's see how it looks. So the unicorn's going to sparkle first and then the horse. That doesn't really make sense. Maybe I should have them come in together. So whatever you have selected over here, when you hit preview, is what's going to come in. So see how the horse comes in and skids too late? So I can say after build one, or I can say with build one. Closer, but I actually want the horse to stop just a second after the unicorn sparkle. So I'm going to do 1 second and see what happens. Oh, closer, maybe a half a second. You can go down to the, so you can go down to the decimal of a second on here, which I love because you don't really get that much control on like say Google Slides. So now what I have is a blank screen. The horse is running in. Oh my gosh, it's a unicorn. He slams on his brakes and then he overtakes the unicorn, I guess. This would be fun to like have the kids do a storyboard and make it happen. So your object level animation, remember, occurs with an actual object. And that object might be a letter, a number, a text box, a whole text box. It could be a chart. It could be an entire picture. It can be anything you want, whatever you have selected. So like, I'm going to do the letter A. I don't know why. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose a much cuter font. That's at the text level. I'm going to pick my friend Ruffy. And I'm going to make it bigger. And then I'm going to make it red. Anything that any element you have, and the reason, by the way, that I can't select this yellow banner here is because it's on the master. So think about this background here, this yellow thing, as wallpaper, and the horse and the letter and the unicorn as pictures on the wall. I can move them, I can rotate them if there's like an earthquake or something, but I can't do anything with this because it's wallpaper. It's stuck to the wall. I can manipulate it if I edit the master, which is a whole other thing. If you double click on it, it'll ask you, do you want to edit the master? And then you're going to be changing this for every new slide of that type that you put on there. So see here where the Mount Big Fact has 2 banners. That's a whole separate thing though. So you can ignore that if you want. But just remember, if there's something you're unable to grab, it's probably because it's part of the master. So when you take any object and you say animate, you have 3 options. Build in, so how's it going to get from the blank slide into place? Build out, how's it going to leave the slide? And then this middle thing, which is action. That's what's it going to do during the duration of the slide while it's showing. And this is really cool. You have some really funky options on here. So notice that there's fewer options as there were build in and build out. But what's cool is you get a little more control. So I like to do move. Let's say that I actually want the horse, once he's, let me undo some of this stuff. Once the horse comes in and skids, I want him to jump up and down a couple times. So that's not a build in, that's not a build out, that's actually an action. So I'm going to come up here to action and I'm going to say, let's try these on. Bounce. Oh my, that's pretty good. I can just decay means he'll jump higher and then like gravity, he'll sort of start to slow down. If I preview it without the decay, he goes the same height every time. That's not realistic at all. I mean, if you're going to see a unicorn, you're going to still obey gravity. So I can do that. You can tell it how many times to bounce. And I want it to happen after the skid. So I'm just going to drag that into place there. When I say preview, it'll only do what I have selected. So I'm going to select them all. Skid, bounce, bounce, bounce. Oh, so do you see this? How it's happening after build 2? It's going to wait till he's completely skidded to do his next action. So I may actually want to adjust this just a little bit. Goodness. But the other thing that I could do rather than bounce, I could do move. And what happens when you select move is by default, it always moves to the right. I don't know, this far. It's like a ratio of the size of the thing you're moving. See, this is where it's starting and this is where it's moving to. So I want him to move to say here. And I also want him to get a little bigger. So it's going to move and scale. And do you see how it automatically put that scale in with build 3? So the first time he jumps up, he's going to get a little bit bigger. And then right here, I have the plus sign. So I can click that to end the same cycle. I can have him move back down. I can have him move around. I can have him swirl around. So I'm just going to move him again and have him move down here and get maybe even just a tiny bit bigger. So now this is going to look really weird. Okay, ready? Horse comes in, he skids, he jumps, he falls because he's so surprised, right? And now he's going to grow and go attack the unicorn or whatever. So the reason that this is paused right here is because I didn't specify when I wanted it to do that. I actually had to click to make it happen. So I could move this whole thing up here. But when you do that, notice now that when the horse is on its way down, it's going to scale after it moves. So watch how that looks. So they come in, skid, jump, fall, grow. It doesn't happen with it unless you tell it to. So I'm going to take the scale part of that movement and have it happen with build 5. So now when the horse comes down, he'll grow and fall at the same time. Okay, so a couple of other things on move. Go back here. There we go. you want to continue to add to this and make him do other things, like we could have him flip when he's done. Right now, every time you add in a new one, it'll set it to happen on a click or after, depending on your settings there. So you can just drag this up and down and around. You can adjust the order of any of these just by moving them up or down. In that way, it kind of reminds me of the layers on Procreate. It'll just happen in the order that you tell it to, moving from the top to the bottom. So have that happen next. One thing that I did not see on here. Oh, you can have it change the opacity too. On your iPad or on your phone, on the mobile version of Keynote, you can actually have an object trace a path. So you can take your Apple Pencil or your drawing thing that I can't think of the word for, or your finger, and actually trace the path that you want it to go on. So it'll follow that path along wherever you put it. So that's how you can get real funky with some of this stuff. Here, if I want to have, I'm going to add an action to this guy and have him jiggle a little bit before he leaves. I'm shaking. Okay, so now I'm going to check my build order. Oh, I didn't actually add the action. Do you see I just previewed it? So I'm going to have him actually jiggle before he moves out. So all this is going to happen in order, and then it'll build out. So here we go. Ah, jump. Grow. Not quite what I was imagining would happen, but there you go. So what you have essentially here in this very, very bad example is an object level animation combined with the magic move to make it look like all of this motion is happening. So in order to just kind of get you thinking, here's some things you could use this for. And I'm going to actually show it to you in slide format. Here you see how I have oval, and I used that build-in for line draw. I chose clockwise at 2 seconds, and I did that for all these ovals. I'll show you how that looks. Here, I'm going to actually get rid of this animation. I used magic move from here to here. So you'll see how that works in just a second. This was bananas. I am not going to exaggerate. I bet I spent an hour and a half on this. Stupid. I wouldn't do it again, but I was like, I bet I can make this work. So I wanted it to show an atom, how it looked as it was moving. It's been a long time since I did that. So I actually had to make an oval. I had to create the circle inside. I created all of these pieces by themselves. And look how many animations there are in just this one slide. 24. Don't recommend it, but I'll show you how those three concepts look when they're animated. So first, to enhance or explain presentations, I'm looking for misspelled words. Okay, class, you're going to have your list of words, and I want you to loop with your red crayon the ones that you notice are spelled wrong, and it's going to look like this when you're finished. Let's see how they all come in. I would probably do them one at a time instead of all at the same time, but that's the line drawing. Here's magic move. Whoops. All right, so to clarify instructions. All right, on this activity, you're going to rearrange the letters to form new words, and here's what I mean by that. And then the letters shift around. So if you had like letter tiles or whatever, and you were going to show it digitally, that could be a way to do it. And then finally, here's the goofy one that took me. So it's drawing. Again, there's the line draw. It's drawing the ovals. It's drawing the circle. There's the protons and neutrons, right? And there's the electrons. Oh, see, it looked cool. Not worth it. Super not worth it. The move on this was really a pain because I did the move. And just like I showed you before, where you can make a curved line or a straight line by manipulating a shape, that's what I had to do all the way around here. So that's a couple things. Another, my kids were having the hardest time remembering during graphing this year, the different quadrants and which one was negative and positive. So I made these for them to show I just saved them as GIFs and I put it on Google Classroom so that anytime they did a graphing assignment, they could remember quadrant 1, quadrant 2, moving clockwise, or sorry, counterclockwise around the graph. And then moving up and to the right, you add, down and to the left, you subtract. And then the different, because of that, the different points. So here I'm just using, I took advantage of the letter animations, but those were just things that I saved as animations and uploaded as images. And probably my favorite thing that I got to do this year was because I had close to 200 students that I was teaching remotely. We can get to do like the celebrations. So I just made one of these for each kid for their birthday, and I scheduled it to send. I saved it as a GIF. I scheduled it to send as an email on the day of their birthday, so I didn't have to try to remember, or in case I didn't have them for class that day. So everybody got something. Whoops. Like this, and it just played with their name. Yeah. So it was, once I made the template of it, I just went in and I changed Jackson to Ashley to whatever, and it just played for their birthday. This here, I have a hand that draws a heart. I just took the, yay, I just took the, this one is a GIF. You can see that I made this in another thing, saved it. I drew a heart, made the heart be dotted, and then I just found a hand and made the hand follow the motion of the heart. My husband works for Payne West, and they had like a crazy thing happen this year where they needed to send out, everybody's home, of course, and they couldn't bring everybody in to show them how to do this procedure. So he wrote it up in writing, but then needed to show visually how to do it. So we made this to show them like what to do. It worked. They could then, those people who are more visual learners could see what they needed to do. This is insane. It's ridiculous, but Keynote, you can see it's just playing by itself because it's, I saved it as an animated GIF. So those are just a couple things that you might think about, not specifically these, but ways to use this to animate concepts or even just create fun things. But one that could be fun to wrap up the year with your kids is we were talking, doing like a storyboard or something and having them tell what's happening in this series of images that they animate. You can download these, what are they called? They're like component, I can't remember what they're called, but it's different. It's a person with all their different possible body shapes. And like what their arms might do when they're walking or as they're sitting down or whatever it happens to be. You can get these images. It comes all as one. And then you just, one cool thing that Keynote has, when you go into the format menu under image, it's instant alpha. So if you want to get rid of a white background on an image, you can select the image, go to the format image menu and choose instant alpha. And then anything you cursor over and drag like this will disappear. So once you have this isolated, let me actually do a little bit more. I'm going to get this white space out from here and here and here and here. It allows you, I won't take your teeth away. So once you have that taken out, you can actually crop this and then piece these different things together to make actual animation. So here I am, here's me, and I'm gonna walk. This was not fun to make. It's terrible. And it looks really bad, but I wanted it to look like the crayon was hitting her and the crayon was evil, whatever. That's like more typical animation. And as you can see, like using these little cheats here of magic move and the build in and build out, you're not going to get the motion of the different leg positions or arm positions, but you can go a long way to creating something that looks pretty cool without having to do this, right? So here was my thought. Let's try this. Take this time with help to create something that you might be able to use tomorrow if you want to. try to get at least 3 motions in there. So either magic moves or different transitions between slides, and then object level animations. You can save that thing as either a GIF file, which would probably be the easiest, or a movie. So let me just show you that. When you export, instead of choosing GIF, you're just going to pick movie, and it'll ask you how you want it to play. I always just do self-playing. That's going to just make that stuff go from one to the next, and you get to even decide like how quick you want it to happen. I want it to be really fast. You can change or choose how high quality you want it to be. It doesn't have to be very, and save it. This is why I'm saying maybe just choose a couple things and animate a couple things and then save it, because this is huge and it's going to take a long time to create. So do that. And then I made a file here, a folder, bit.ly/PBS Keynote, and it is case sensitive. But you can dump your creations in there so we can see how they turn out. Does that sound okay? Awesome. And then if you need any help while you're working, you can just shout your questions out right here. I'll put this link in the chat so we can stop sharing.
I want to make this pig disappear in the barn. And I changed the opacity, but it doesn't. I'm trying to just find a transition that would just make it disappear.
So I have an idea for you.
Okay.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen.
Good job. I wouldn't have known what you were doing. Okay. So let me think about, is that barn a clip art or is it a shape?
That's a shape.
From the shape menu up there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that might not work.
Oh.
If you double click it, does anything happen? Ooh. Oh, because it wants to turn it into a text box. Okay, so here's what I was thinking. Maybe go back to slide 4 where your barn is and take a screenshot of the barn. And while you do it, hold the control key. So do Command Shift 4 and then push the control key and get a screenshot of that barn.
And Shift 4 control. Oh
and then hold control while you,
while I take the shot.
Bless you. So you only need to hold the control key. You don't have to hold everything else.
Okay. That. Okay. I didn't take the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Sweet. So now paste, just do Control V on that. Shoot, it only took part of it.
Yeah, and it got my Zoom toolbar in there.
Oh, that's
how
funny.
you get the toolbar though for screen.
Oh, yeah, that's weird. Can you put this toolbar to the bottom maybe?
Yeah, push that up out of the way.
That's funny that it captures in a screenshot, but not
for other people to see.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay.
Okay, now paste.
Now.
Did it go to your desktop?
Yeah.
Okay, just drag it in there.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so now that barn, do either Command C, Command V, or Command D to duplicate.
This one? Okay. Okay. Oh.
Okay, now double click on the barn and see the left little nubbin. Woo! You might have to Control Z there. Oops. Okay, so now on the left little handle, I don't really know what to call that. You're going to basically cut the barn in half. Yeah, you're going to crop it to about where the barn doors are.
All right.
Maybe even like to the second barn door. Yeah. Okay. Now hit enter. And lay that over the top of the other barn. There you go. You might have to shrink it just a smidge because I don't think a screenshot comes in at the same proportion as the original. Okay, so now when you animate the pig, you're going to want to bring that little pasted chunk to the top. So if you do command, so click on the barn, the piece you just pasted there, do Command Shift F, that'll bring it to the front, or use the menu there.
Shift.
That should bring it to the front.
Okay.
Okay, then when you animate your pig.
It can go
Behind there. So what I was thinking, even if it's too big, or just right click on your barn door clipping that you just made and drag the right side all the way out, because nobody will know that that's there.
drag.
So double click on it to get it to copy up. Now drag the right side straight out.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so the pig will disappear behind that.
Okay, so then yeah, when the pig comes over here behind there. Okay. Where'd my pig go?
Him's hiding.
I gotta get him back. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna play with that.
Okay, great. Tricks. Shanna, how's it going? Can I help?
I was fascinated with the pig. I lost track. Whoopsie.
No, that's good. That's good. We learn together.
Okay, I do have a question. How do I download those the slides that you gave us from the Slides Go into Keynote? I downloaded it into Google Slides, but I don't know how to open it in Keynote.
Okay, so that will be just a little bit different. Let me I'll go over there and then I'll show you how to do that here. Okay, can you see my window there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to do bacterial, whatever. I'll just do this one. Okay, so instead of doing Google Slides for Keynote, you want to do PowerPoint. And then the only thing about this is, and I can show you how to resolve that too, it doesn't necessarily have the same fonts. So here it is. It's called medicalplanner.pptx. When I come into Keynote, oops, hold on a second. Okay, when I come into Keynote, I want to open, and I'm looking for that medical Slides Go, whatever. As long as it's a PowerPoint, you can open it in Keynote. The difference will be, it doesn't keep the same fonts. So what you can do, hold on just a second. Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. Yes. Okay, thank you. Oh, gotcha. All right, so you can come over here and find what font they are using. It usually says, and actually when I open it, it might say, if it's using a font that you don't have, you can go to a site called dafont, DAFONT.com. Usually Keynote will tell you, it'll say something like just missing fonts, and it'll try to match them up as it can. But if it gives you a name of a font here and you don't have it, you can just come over to the font and find it and then download it. So let's just pretend that it was this one here, new wishes. When you go to download, it'll go into a zip file. When you open that zip file, it brings it as a folder to your desktop. Hang on, I'm trying to drag this over there. Have you guys ever downloaded fonts? Oh, I love it. So you can go at Google has fonts too, but you can go here and open this folder, and it's the TTF file that you want. You just double click on it and it opens what's called your font book, and you say install font, and then it opens up all your fonts. And I actually created a new collection of just called Annie so that I could find these later on. So that one was called New Wishes. And I gotta find it. I'm just gonna drag it here to Annie so that I can remember that's what it's called. And the one thing to know is they don't appear in Keynote right away. So if I were to go up here now and choose some text and go to find New Wishes, it won't be there yet. Oh, it is. Oh, it didn't used to be there. You used to have to quit Keynote and come back in. Sweet. So now I have that font, and anything that on my computer that I can use fonts for, it'll be there. So that's the one thing that you may find when you download from SlidesGo into Keynote is missing fonts, but they're easy enough to find.
Thanks for showing me that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The pig was better though.
Well, it is for now. It will be for now. Google also has, you know how you put whatever you want in front of google.com? If you go to fonts.google.com, if you spell it right, you can also download tons of fonts and see what they look like there first. So if you know the name of a font, like I doubt that one is there. Oh, look at Wishes script.
I feel so like gypped. All I know is like Times New Roman and Arial.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Like the dark ages now.
Yes. But now you're going to be like, I'm going to get a font for this and I'm going to get a font for that.
PBS has their own official font, PBS Sans, but it does not exist anywhere. You have to be like authorized to download it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you authorized, Nikki?
I sort of. I can use
Oh.
it in Microsoft Word. But we but I never use Word ever.
I know. Isn't that funny? Okay, how's it coming for everybody else?
I put my little animation in the
Ooh, I can't wait.
folder. Trisha's got one in there too.
Awesome. Okay, I'm heading over there now. bit.ly/PBS Keynote. By the way, I put this whole presentation as a Keynote file in this folder. So if you guys want to pick this apart and see how I animated stuff and actually remember what all the things that I was going to say, you can just open this. If you download it to your desktop and then open it in Keynote, you won't probably have the fonts, but now you know how to get them. You'll have all of those build-ins and build-outs and animations to see how I made them. Okay, I don't know if you guys know this. I learned it very recently and I was like, how did I not know this? When you're in a Google Drive folder or anywhere in Google Drive, if you click on a file, instead of opening it, you can just hit P to preview it. I feel so dumb. Look at this.
Oh.
I love it.
It's a code of conduct. That's awesome.
Trisha. And it's a GIF, so it automatically plays. I love it. Easy or hard to make, Trisha?
Super duper easy. I used Keynote and Pages such a long time ago when it was like part of iWork. I'm like talking iWork 09. And of course the layout is so different from now. And I've kind of abandoned Keynote, even though I have a fancy MacBook Pro. I just use Google all the time. And
Yep.
now I need to use Keynote all the time.
Yep, same way. And I almost always still default to Google whatever. It's just because it's so easy and I can get to it from anywhere. But when I need to do something a little bit next level, Keynote. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's
so
what I'm
much.
gonna think too here is next level, fancier. That's what it'll be. And
Yeah,
then everybody will be like, how did you do that? And nobody will know because everybody's either PC or Google and they won't know how to do Keynote. So
that's
I
right.
can
You
keep
can't
my
like,
job secure because they won't know how to do it.
I love it. Okay, and let's see, Nikki's. Ooh, look it. I like it. I'm going to go home now. That's awesome. So here's another thing, as you saw, sometimes you can do little cheats. Like Nikki was having a hard time getting the pig to go in the barn. We just make it work. You could find, I'm sure there's legit ways to make the pig cut in half and disappear, whatever. But if you know just a couple little cheats, it's easy to make it look like you know what you're doing and no one will ever know. So that's one reason why I just find Keynote so fun to do with animations. And I wish I would have done a better job saving more examples of things that I've done or things that you could do. But this is a good start. I mean, these are both really applicable, super useful starts on things that you might be able to do that would be really relevant either in your classroom or just in your life. Your kids, for goodness sake, at home this summer. Woo. Okay, we got one more in there. Okay, ready? Dina, let's see it. Coffee is as quick as lightning. And it can go anywhere. Yes. Ready?
Wait, now let me get to the, okay. Now I'm ready.
Trace and color. Ellie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. Yep, you got it.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it'll, because it's a GIF, it'll just keep playing over and over and over and over and over, just like that.
All right.
Yep. So really what's left is just to kind of play around with this. For you, Louise, something that might be kind of cool is to actually draw out the letter E, like if you wanted to trace it. So I'm going to grab a line here and I'm just going to do this. And what I was saying, instead of magic move, this time I'm going to animate this object. So I'm going to do action and I'm going to do, no, sorry, I do want it to build in. I want it to line draw down. So from the beginning to the end. And in this case, I think the top is the beginning. Nope, backwards. So I'm going to go the other way. So it's going to go down and then I will duplicate that and then move this end up here and then do that again and then do that again. So when you do a line draw, it's going to actually do it down or over. So you could have her trace her finger along that if you wanted her to. The other thing, like I have this shadow on here right now, which is really distracting. You can make it bigger and you can make the line be dashed if you want it to do that, probably darker. But there's just lots of different things that you can do at a more granular level to make that kind of a task for her to do instead of just watch. I probably chose a bad dash.
If I put it on an iPad, then she could put her finger on and maybe follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make them, this is probably too much. Can you make them touch sensitive?
I don't think so. You could have it be, I don't know how that works on an iPad if you actually, so when I have it on Animate, right now I have it, let me think about this a second. If I go down here to build order, if I choose on click, it won't do anything until I click, but I'm not sure if on an iPad just touching is considered a click.
Clicking, yeah, touching is clicking.
So that
If you could do it in side-by-side mode, you could maybe have a notepad up and then have the GIF or the Keynote playing in side-by-side multitasking mode. And that way she could see it and do it side-by-side at the same time.
Hmm.
That's cool, Trisha.
Yeah.
Great ideas.
There used to be this Montessori program, and it's not on anymore, where they would have the letters to trace, and the kid would put their finger on it, and it would make a cool sound, and it would have like sparkles coming out of where their finger was, you know, and it would leave this really colorful line behind. And so it was really rewarding to trace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I was asking. I thought, I don't know how they created it, but it was very cool, and the kids loved it.
Mm-hmm. Probably some pretty sophisticated programming at work there. Oh, cool. Shanna was able to animate 4 playing cards, building into a fan. Oh, that's cool. If you didn't get a chance to share it, Shanna, that would be awesome if you could just pop it in that folder. I would love to see it. That is another good thing. Games. All my family is really into games. We're super into games, and trying to explain how to play a game to a new player, it's so hard. But to be able to create like visual instructions would be so fun. That would be such a cool project. Inspired me. So hopefully, at least, I mean, the goal here obviously wasn't to teach you everything there is to know, or necessarily all the perfect ways to animate, but we're fake animating with some pretty cool, powerful tools that you've already had living on your computer. And as Trisha said, you might have forgotten that you even had Keynote or didn't know that it could even do so many cool things, but maybe it'll at least spark some ideas in your mind of things that you can do, that having that motion, maybe not to the level like Louise was hoping, that would be really cool, but at least kind of a faux version of that could at least be more visually catchy, or kind of a challenge for you as a learner to explore some things, or maybe even have your kids do that. So that is what I've got. And just again, I'm sure you have my contact information from other presentations, but I don't ever mind if you want to reach out and ask questions or say, hey, can you remind me how to do this again? I put my email there in the chat. But again, remember, there's also this presentation, the whole thing with all of the animations built in. If you download it, you'll have your own copy to just shred, to tear apart and see how everything was made and put together. So everything from magic move to those object level transitions, animations are in there for you to play with. So feel free. And
where did you say you were putting that? I'm sorry, I just missed that. I'm sorry. What did you say you were going to put the presentation?
It's in the folder, the same folder that we were just dumping our samples in. That
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. It's right there, this Keynote for animation file. So you guys have any other questions? Oh, you bet. Okay. Awesome.